If I lost everything today as a software engineer turned entrepreneur, this is exactly what I would do. So this is how I'd start a business from scratch as a developer in 2026. Now, this is going to be the scenario that I'm going to consider. Imagine I wake up tomorrow with nothing but my coding skills. So I don't have a following, I don't have any social media presence, I don't have any existing clients, so I can't ask for referrals, and I have no savings, so I need to get everything done in an ample amount of time. I at least need to make some money in the first 30 days to be able to pay my bills. Now, on top of everything, I'm going to add another constraint, and it is that I do not have a 9-to-5 job. Okay, so I don't have money coming in. Now, if I flip the scenario onto you, would you be able to say that you'll be able to make it? Would you be able to, in 30 days, not relying on a 9-to-5, be able to make enough money to at least cover your expenses for the first month, and of course, every single month thereafter? Most likely, probably not, and that's why you're watching this video. But that is okay, because in this video, I'm going to show you how to go exactly from an idea to your first paying client to scaling, okay? And this is what we're going to cover for today. So from the very beginning, we're going to talk about the massive opportunity right now for the software engineers that nobody's seeing in 2026. That's why I'm making this video right now at this moment, right? We're going to talk about how to capitalize on that opportunity. Then we're going to talk about your unique advantages as a software engineer in 2026. And then we're going to get into actually ideation, validation, getting clients, and then scaling. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. So now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Bago. I started off as a software engineer in the actual, 9-to-5 world. I went into the private sector first, and then I got into the public sector, and I ended my professional career as a software engineering manager, taking home about $250,000 a year in total income. After that, I transitioned into, of course, building AB Analytics, which is an AI B2B consulting firm located down here in LA. So I work primarily with local businesses, and this was our revenue for the last month alone of January 1st to January 31st. I say this not to brag, but to show you that I know exactly the things that software engineers are going through, and I know exactly what makes a software engineer have such an insane advantage in business that you guys too can achieve results like this, because a lot of you already have. A lot of the founders inside Code2CEO who I've worked with on a one-on-one basis are now business owners, not relying on a 9-to-5 and making a living, way more so than they were able to back in their 9-to-5s. Just before we get started, I am hosting a live workshop on February 22nd, 11 a.m. PST, where I'm going to be deep diving into specifically ideation and validation as a software engineer, such that you don't spend months building something that nobody actually wants. In order to sign up, it's completely free. The link is in the description down below. So let's start with the why now, because timing matters a lot more than most software engineers might think. And now is because we are sitting at the biggest opportunity in an entire generation. I would say this is the biggest opportunity for the past 100 years that we're seeing right now as software engineers. Keep in mind, I'm only speaking from the perspective of software engineers. That is because 33 million businesses, and this is only in the United States alone, need you, the software engineers, right now. And that is because the vast majority of them have no idea how to adapt to the AI and the ever-changing software engineering landscape that is taking place right now. Okay? And that shouldn't really come as a surprise to most of you developers, because even us as devs have a relatively difficult time adapting to all the new changes. We see all the stuff that's happening with Cloudbot, we see all the new inventions, right? We'll see all the new progress that's being made, and even we ourselves are having a difficult time. I mean, take a look at the AI agents. Majority of devs don't even use AI agents to code, which is crazy, because I know some of you watching this video who do use AI agents to code. I know for a fact you'll never go back to manually coding ever again. And those of you who don't use AI agents and you're watching this video, you're probably like, okay, what's the big deal? So even us, who are essentially the front facing of this technology, if we don't even understand it to a degree of, we're still debating on if it's worth using or not, imagine how a non-technical individual feels. And guess what? 99% of these businesses, whether in the US, whether in other countries, are led by non-technical individuals. And when I say that everybody has to adopt to AI and our ever-changing tech landscape, I'm not downplaying that. This isn't like a trend. Billions of people across the world have to, okay? This is a global shift. Once again, this isn't like, oh, I'll choose to or I won't. You have to. It's going to be a way of life, and this is not a trend. If we take a look at the World Economic Forum here on essentially shifting from an automation to an augmentation type of standpoint, right? Because we know things are going to be automated, but most people say we're just going to augment human work. You can see that we're going to go from about 47% of tasks being completed by humans down to 33% by 2030. Meaning 22% of stuff that was essentially taken care of by technology is going to rise up to 34%. Only 3 extra percent is going to be with relation to augmentation. So most things are going to be replaced, okay? And with that in mind, on top of everything, boomers are retiring and they're passing on the torch to the younger generation, right? So the generation that built all these businesses on paper and phone calls is now stepping back, and their businesses need to be modernized or they will die. Over 10,000 boomers retire every single day. Their kids most of the time don't want to take on the business because, once again, it's not automated. These businesses run on very clunky processes, and most of the younger generation doesn't quite understand the work that their parents did. And the only businesses who are going to survive, well, are going to be the ones who adapt to this new landscape, to this new AI and software emerging wave. Now, also keep in mind that 73% of small businesses say that they need tech help, but they cannot find anybody that they trust to help them, despite there being so much quote-unquote competition in the space, okay? So this is where the opportunity lies. The opportunity lies in AI and software, and more specifically, I call this the AI and software paradox. Because while everybody is talking about AI, the problem is that less than 5% of businesses have actually meaningfully implemented AI. So the solution is that while everybody's talking about it, nobody is actually implementing it due to the natural barrier between technical and non-technical people. And you as a software engineer have something that nobody else has. Let me explain this in detail. You have everybody and their mother right now on YouTube talking about AI agencies, how everybody should get into AI, how everybody should start AI agencies, how you don't have to be a technical person, how you can be a complete nobody and still do it. Everybody is talking about this, and this is the day-old question of, well, during a gold rush, you want to sell the shovels. But what nobody is understanding is that no matter who gets into this space of creating AI solutions, software engineers are still going to be the kings in this space. And the reason for that is very simple. The reason so many people that got into AI development are not able to actually make any use of it is because there's a fundamental barrier. There's a gap that exists between technical people and non-technical people. And the problem here isn't in the tech. The problem here is in the communication, okay? The reason technical people can't sell to non-technical people, and the reason non-technical people can't sell to other non-technical people because they lack the technical knowledge, all of that has to do with one simple fact: communication mismatch. So whenever you have somebody non-technical get into this AI agency space, right, and they try to sell to businesses, they don't understand the tech side to be able to deliver something properly. That's why over 95% of pilots that involved any type of AI work ended up failing. That's what happens when you have non-technical people in technical fields. On the opposite end, the reason that technical people are not delivering these solutions for non-technical folks is because there's a communication mismatch between them. So that's where you as a software engineer come into play. You already have the technical background to make all of this work. All you need is to adapt the actual communication skills to be able to connect with the non-technical people to mind this gap. So let's talk about how we're actually going to do this. And we are going to do this through services, okay? Since you're a software engineer, I bet you were probably thinking of a SaaS. However, continue watching because SaaS will come later. For now, we are going to focus on services, okay? And this is very, very important. Every single developer dreams of passive income from a SaaS product. But what nobody tells them is that SaaS is a cash flow nightmare, okay? Especially early on. And there is way too much of a timeline difference to our first dollar made when it comes to a service as opposed to a SaaS. Since in the beginning of the video, I set the premises that we don't have any savings. We need to do this as quickly as possible, right? Naturally, we have to gravitate towards services, but that's not the only reason. I recommend 99% of software engineers to actually start from a service to learn the aspects of a business, to able to change their mindset from an employee to an owner, such that they can later get into a SaaS and have success with that. But that's for maybe another video. Understand that what we're going to do right now, at least the way that I would do things if I was starting from scratch, is I would start with services first as opposed to jumping into a SaaS immediately. And there's many reasons that devs ignore services. But I don't think any of them are really a good one, and I'm going to essentially talk about each one right now. So you'll hear devs often say, well, in a service, I'm trading time for money. Isn't that what I'm trying to escape from? Because many developers think since a service business requires their time, it is low leverage and not worth it. This is factually incorrect. Sure, maybe a SaaS is more scalable than a service, but that's not to say a service is not scalable. Unless you are trying to become a multi-billionaire or a trillionaire, you should not be even talking about this. Because case in point, a service-based business is infinitely time more leverageable than the 9 to 5 that you're doing right now. So once again, for the very, very few of you who actually care about becoming billionaires or accruing extreme wealth in a very short amount of time, such as from an exit, you shouldn't be comparing service to a SaaS when it comes to leverage, because both, since they're businesses, already have way enough leverage to get you the money that you're looking for. And since I've spoken to personally over thousands of you now, I understand that most of you are only looking for a few $1,000,000 to achieve financial freedom. You're not trying to become a multi-billionaire, right? Second thing, I hear devs often say that they love building, and they think that they will be stunted creatively because they will not be able to build what they want, and they'll have to build what their client asks of them. Guess what? You still have to build what people want from you. Be it a SaaS, be it a service, if you build what you want, you're not going to make any money. And this is partly one of the reasons why so many developers end up failing with a SaaS, is because they build what they want. You never build what you want. You build what the people want and need, more specifically. The third thing, many think it would be a waste of time, because many developers think that they would be wasting their coding skills, especially those who prefer it over other tasks such as marketing or sales. Let me tell you something. If you want to unlock more leverage, you have to go further and further away from coding as a software engineer. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but since you're already a software engineer and you already have the skills to build and code, the biggest ROI for you, the biggest time investment where you're going to get so much in return back, is going to be putting that time and energy into other skills, more specifically communication skills. So your marketing, your sales ability, and all these things. As a direct result of that, you building a SaaS that's going to get 0 users is not going to help you at all. No matter how good your product is, you're still going to need a way to put it in front of people. You're going to need a way to convince people to buy it, and you're going to need a way to actually get these people to continue staying and buying, and so on. So case in point, you should not ignore services because all the reasons that you thought make service-based businesses bad, in reality, none of them are really true for what you guys want to do. Now, if you're one of the million people who are watching this and are saying, no, Bigo, I want to be a billionaire and I don't want to start with a service, I already have enough money, I'm making $800,000 as a quant developer, then yes, maybe you shouldn't start with a service. You are in a better situation to just jump straight into a SaaS and take a chance with that. But for the rest of you, start with a service, because that's what I did, and even to this day, that is still what I would do. I already talked about the SaaS trap, right? You build in isolation, you have no customer feedback, you're burning your savings, months with no income, and when you do launch, nobody knows you exist, so you launch to exactly 0 people. And the harsh truth is that you don't have a product market fit as many people might think when it comes to a SaaS. You have a market access problem. Services solve that access problem first and foremost. So let's get to step 3. We've identified what the opportunity was. We've identified how we're going to leverage that opportunity, right, through service-based businesses. So now we're going to talk about our unique advantage as a software engineer, which is going to allow us to pretty much beat the entire competition, and it's what's going to allow us to make an absurd amount of money very quickly. Now, most developers do not understand that they do not have a resource problem. Many people think that they need more resources to succeed. However, based on my conversations with so many devs, I found out that it's not necessarily a resource problem, it's a resource fullness problem. So 99% of you watching this video right now have enough resources to get to where you want to get to. It's just that you are not yet being resourceful enough to actually utilize these resources to get there. So in order for us to first become resourceful, we first have to identify exactly what resources we have available to us. And these resources are what's referred to as a unique advantage. They come in 3 forms. Our network, so who we know, our location, so where we live, this could be physical as well as digital, and our experience, what do we know? So a regular software engineer might want to start a SaaS because they saw that Zuckerberg did it and he became rich. However, A smart software engineer with a proper understanding of their unique advantage will say, okay, I'm going to start off with a service business because I already have a few people in my network right now that I can pitch. My uncle owns this business, my dad owns that, whatever the case. They move based on their unique advantage, okay? So let's talk about the actual unique advantages. First and foremost, your network. So this is who you know, essentially. These people will know business owners, or they might even be business owners themselves. And these business owners are going to have problems. So if you connect the dots, you know exactly what you have to do. These include your family, friends, old coworkers, your barber, your dentist, your gym owner, right? LinkedIn connections you forgot about, and everybody else that pretty much runs a business. Number two, your location. So wherever you live right now, I guarantee you there are countless businesses within 10 miles of you, okay, that do need the exact technical help that you will be able to provide to them as a software engineer. If you are based in the US, chances are that you have multi-million, if not billion-dollar businesses located less than 30 minutes of you. This is especially true if you're located anywhere in Southern California or anywhere in New York, Texas area, Miami, so Florida. Any of these states, you have an extreme advantage in. That's not to say you don't have an advantage in other states, you still do. I'm just saying, if you're in the US, you are in a literal gold mine, okay? Now, local businesses trust local people. Face-to-face beats cold email every single time. And I'll make a separate video on cold email of how it's not really that consistent of a routine. Just because every guru talks about it doesn't mean it's the best, right? Don't get me wrong, it is good for a few things. But if you want me to make a video, comment down below. I'll make a video about that, going deep diving into it. You can also drive to your clients' offices or join your local chamber of commerce. Both of the things that I did, and I also, many founders inside Code to CEO also did to get results. And another reason is nobody is doing this in your area. Even if somebody is doing this in your area, guess what? Chances of them being a software engineer is going to be very, very low. Unless two of you watching this video go and do it in the same area, okay? Number three, your experience. So you can build things, obviously. And that's a superpower that most people do not have. And you don't need to hire a dev team because you are already the dev team. Furthermore, you have other life experiences on top of being a developer. So you are first a human before you are a dev. And the reason I say this is because too many software engineers think that their experiences only chalk up essentially the life they've lived as a developer. So their coding skills, what they've done at work in a professional setting. But no, a lot of you are family individuals. You have family, you're a father, you're a husband, right? Or you're a wife, you still have kids. A lot of you have skills outside of being a developer, okay? Utilize these skills also to help you set up the business and make more money, because you most definitely can. Now, obviously you understand technology deeply, better than most individuals. You can build MVPs in days, not months, especially with the use of AI agents. You can solve problems that other people can't really even articulate. And AI, of course, makes you 10 times more productive. So you have way too many things going for you not to succeed. Now, you see the opportunity, you see how to capitalize on that opportunity, and now you know your advantages. So let's talk about what you can actually build. Now, the mistakes that most developers will make at this current point is as follows. They'll spend months building a solution, they'll try to find the problem that the solution solves, and then they'll try to find a customer that is experiencing the problem. So the way this looks is a dev creates a SaaS, right, that solves a specific problem, or at least they think they solve a specific problem. Once the SaaS is built, they'll try to find out where the people that are experiencing this problem are, and then they'll try to reach out to them. This is all backwards. It needs to go in the completely opposite direction. So we find the problem first. We then sell the solution to that problem before even building it. And then we build only what people will actually pay for. So the customer comes first and our code / our product comes second. Now you might ask, how do you sell the solution before building? Well, when I say sell the solution, this can even be just the idea of the solution, or this can be a very minimum viable product. It doesn't mean you have to spend months building something out to be able to sell it, okay? And this is especially true if we're doing a service, which in this specific case, we are. Now, to get into sort of our offer and how we're gonna position everything, because we already realized, okay, I'm gonna work on a service-based business. I have my unique advantages now, and I'm going to use this opportunity to go gung-ho into it. What am I looking for? Well, I'm really going to be looking for three things. I'm going to be looking for pain. I need to make sure that the individual in question has a problem that keeps them up at night. Okay, it's urgent, it's expensive, and it's recurring. something like an example would be, let's say they're losing 10K a month, they're wasting 20 hours a week, or just in general, they're losing customers. I also need to make sure they have the budget, okay? That they're not broke, they have money to spend. And they don't tell me maybe someday they have the budget right now that they can spend on this. So at least I'm going to look for over $5,000 for a solution. I'm going to look for them making recurring revenue, and I'm going to look for them to be able to be growing down the line such that it's not a sinking business. Then I'm going to look for access such that I can actually reach them. If I can't access them, what's the point in trying to even reach out to them, right? If it's somebody, let's say in a government or some military contractor, but I have no access to them through my network or unique advantages, what am I doing here? So these people have to be either active on LinkedIn, maybe going to local meetups or in Facebook groups, or at least I have some way of reaching out to them. Now, a lot of you might have a specific advantage based on your network here, okay? And keep in mind, all three must be present, okay? You can't have 2 out of the 3 because you're just gonna struggle and it's not worth doing it. It's better to go to another opportunity. Now, specifically for the sake of this video, I have given right in front of you very specific industries for 2026 that are currently being served by either myself or the other founders inside Code to CEO. I'll tell you right now, I have served in the past, or right now I am serving healthcare practices, local service businesses, and professional services alongside e-commerce brands. I have not done anything for real estate agents, and I have not done anything for SaaS startups. But all these right now I have done. However, a few of the founders inside Code to CEO have done these. So all 6 that you see listed here have been proven. There's a lot of money in them, and people are actively doing something right now for each of them. So my recommendation for you would be, don't necessarily pick one right now, but rather have these in mind as you're gonna go about what I'm gonna tell you right now to do. So put everything that we discussed into AI and see what it comes up with. Meaning, put your unique advantages in there. So where do you live? Who do you know? And what do you do? Okay? Put these into AI and see what it can cook up with. Also put that you're gonna want to do something based on a service, okay? And tell it to pretty much make the emphasis on AI and software because you are a software engineer. Hell, just ask, what should I do based on my unique advantages in this city, knowing this, doing this, knowing these individuals as a software engineer. I used Opus 4.6 for this, and these are what I got. So first and foremost, I did this for LA since, of course, I'm based in LA. So if I was starting from complete zero, this is the exact thing I would follow, and this is what I would get. So right now, it tells me that my top pick would be med spas and aesthetics. So let's see what it says. LA is the med spa capital of the world, blah, 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 blah. They spend $5,000 to $15,000 a month on ads and have no system to convert those leads. Most lose 40 to 60% of inbound inquiries to slow follow-up. You're selling the bridge between their ad spend and actual booked revenue. Perfect. That's one example of things I can do. Second thing, law firms, PI and immigration. Now, the crazy thing about this is for my current firm right now, I am literally doing this, okay? We are literally targeting PI law firms. I'm not gonna say exactly what. Actually, I even have a video breaking this down on my other channel, exactly what I do for them. But I'm not gonna say it on this video because this one's probably gonna get more views. I'm gonna gatekeep that. But if you really care enough to find out about it, you can. But once again, the fact I know these will work is because I've already done 2 of these on this list right now. The second one, dental offices. Second one that I've done, but the third one here. I worked with both dental offices as well as law firms, so I know for a fact whatever's being listed here is an actual problem. In fact, the law firm one, it was accurate in the analysis of the AI. So you're turning them a system that turns their existing ad spend into 2 or 3 more signed cases. We do something very similar to this, but not exact quite. However, the one that I did do for the dental offices, it literally hit right on the money. So it says LA County has over 8,000 dental practices, most run on 1 to 2 front desk staff who miss 30% of the calls during peak hours. The offer is that simple to explain, the ROI math is undeniable, and every dentist knows it does another dentist. This is your most repeatable, scalable vertical, the one you build a machine around. Start here if you want more volume. And then it just says, I help LA dental practices stop losing patients to missed calls and no-shows. In 14 days, you'll have an AI receptionist that books appointments, verifies insurance, and follows up even while your team is chairside. So if I were to pick one of these, my personal choice starting today, right, it would be specifically the dentist. But if you right now don't have anything concrete to go off of, just like I did, right, I would look into blue collar and white collar. So blue collar would be HVAC companies, plumbers, electricians, landscapers, cleaning services, right? And then your white collar would be doctors, dentists, and lawyers. They all have extremely high pain, right? They lose jobs to competitors. There's many inefficiencies in their processes, and they all have a budget, 5 to 100,000 easy per project. And access to them is also quite easy. Local chambers, Facebook groups, network, your location, all these things in mind. And I want to point something out right now. I don't know, for whatever reason, right? People like to think that making $10,000 to $20,000 with a business is not impressive. And yet, whenever they're trying to go and find a 9-to-5 job, anything that pays $10K a month is the holy grail. So pick and choose your battles. Not a lot of you will become billionaires off of this. Maybe you won't even reach millionaire status, right? It really depends on how far you want to scale it. But what I can guarantee for those of you watching is as follows. If you sit down, you finish this video, right? You do everything step by step, you will 100% make at least double, if not triple, your monthly salary that you were already doing at your job. I don't know a single person who's done this for over a year, especially within Code to CEO, our startup accelerator, that isn't already clearing over 50K a month. I don't know anybody like that. Because once again, there is so much leverage in this. As long as you just put your mind to it, you will be able to do that, okay? Also, another thing that I want to point out here, another analogy I want to make. You can be the 10th best skater, right, in the Olympics and pretty much not make any money, not get any recognition. However, if you're the 10th best, let's say, dentist in your local city, you will be making hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Or at least millions of dollars. So it's very important you pick what game you're playing, okay? This game, quote unquote, that we're choosing right now, the game of business, is so leveraged that it doesn't quite just fit into our brains. So I want to spend a lot of time on this and explain why I'm picking what I'm picking and why this is my personal choice. I might not make hundreds of millions of dollars off of this. I understand that, okay? And some of you might think 10K, 20K a month isn't impressive from a business, but guess what? That's still a lot more than you were gonna make at your 9-to-5. Even if you're a quant dev pulling in 850K a year, I can easily, scaling something like this, get there in under 2 years, okay? And guess what? I can scale well beyond that, whereas a quant developer would literally have to be top 0.00001% to maybe even be able to compete on the same exact level as me when it comes to income, okay? So the games we're playing are fundamentally different. You are basically the 10th best skater in the Olympics and nobody knows your name, and I'm the 10th best software engineer building some type of a business to serve his local businesses, and he's clearing a lot of money, right? So the game that we play is fundamentally very important. That's why I'm focusing so much on this, to explain why this is the game that I want to play, okay? Hopefully that made sense. So my day one offer would look exactly like this. Since I've already done the work for the dental offices, I know this wasn't the number one recommended. Number one was MedSpas. In fact, we do have another founder that is currently targeting MedSpas. I would do dental offices, and here's what I would do, okay? And this is literally exactly what I've done before. This is one of the things that we ran for AB Analytics, and we've gotten hundreds of thousands in revenue from this alone, okay? And this is something that we're still just working on productizing right now, but I can freely talk about it because I know most of you guys watching this aren't even gonna take the action to compete with me, and those of you who are probably aren't located in the same city, and if you are located in the same city, if you are gonna try to do the same thing, well then, my hat's off to you, right? So this is what I would do. An AI voice agent that answers calls when staff is busy, okay? Verifies insurance eligibility automatically, sends smart SMS reminders that reduce no-shows, handles after-hours booking, and I know for a fact that this is at least a $10,000 to $20,000 engagement that I can charge because the ROI is gonna be immediate for them. Even if one patient is recovered per week at $500 average treatment value, that's gonna pay for this entire system in about a month. So this is a no-brainer for them. Now, what does a realistic timeline look like for this? Keep in mind, this is going to be dependent from person to person. Some of you who've already seen a little about Code to CEO, you might have seen John doing millions in less than a year. Marco, right, completely just being able to quit his job, doubling his salary within 20 days. Paul, Sandra, all those guys. Understand that it really depends on the individual. What I can tell you is a very conservative estimate would look something like this. In month one, you're gonna be grinding, making about upwards of 2K. By month 3, you'll have some traction. You'll be up breaking about 8K a month. By the end of month 6, you'll be a little bit more stable, pulling in about 15K a month. And then end of the year, you'll be clearing over 30,000 and you'll be financially free, right? But this does assume consistent effort. And keep in mind, most people don't fail because they're dumb. Most people fail because they're going to quit way too early, right? The ones who push past month 3 don't really look back, and they don't ever go back to a 9 to 5. This is why the quote exists. Once you get a little bit of taste of freedom, you become unhireable, right? Let me talk about the truth about month 1, okay? It is harder than YouTube makes it look, right? I'm sure a lot of you have seen the AI gurus. I've seen a lot of the other individuals making videos on them running up an offer, them kind of showing everything live as a breakdown, maybe showing a sales call, anything of that sort. Understand that they don't show a lot of other things. They don't show that they had a following. They don't show that they had savings. They don't show that maybe it was the first try that they ran it on and they got lucky, okay? I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm saying it's not typical. And I don't want you guys comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20, even myself. That's also part of the reason why I'm very careful on the type of videos I make, because I know even if I quote unquote start from complete zero, I'm not actually starting from zero, because I already have all the knowledge in my head, and whether I want to or not, I'm still gonna have other things that I'm gonna be bringing in without even meaning to, okay? Now, let me talk about what it's really like, especially when I first started everything, right? So there's gonna be days of silence, rejection after rejection. You're gonna have self-doubt. You're gonna question if this is even for you. You're gonna question if you're smart enough to be an entrepreneur. You're gonna question maybe you're just supposed to be a 9 to 5 employee for the rest of your life. This is all exact things that I went through. You're gonna be working 12-hour days for literally no money, okay? That's what the real journey is like. And 80% of people are gonna quit in month 1, 15 will quit in month 2 or 3, and then the 5% that make it to month 6, well, some of them might not even go too far because the bar is extremely low. People just like to give up. And the secret for those who actually do end up making it, it's not talent, it's not even luck, it's consistency. They show up every day, they do the work, they do the input, and they outlast the quitters, and the output follows. That is literally the only key to success here. So it's literally outlasting the quitters. It's outlasting the competition. And the only thing, the only skill you need to develop for that is just pain and stress tolerance. If you can tolerate all the bullshit coming your way, if you can understand that as long as you just do the inputs and not have to worry about the output, because you can control the input, but you can't control the output, you just do the input day in and day out, you will get there, right? So this is a realistic expectation that you can follow. If I do everything right now, starting from scratch, I can get to this 30K plus month in the first month, just like that, because I already have all the knowledge prior to that. However, this is an extremely conservative estimate for you. For those of you who are looking at this and thinking it's not worth it, take a look at your development career and tell me, in what world could you get to 30K in a year? In what world could you do that? Even if you decide to go on job hop and get promoted, 99% of you won't be able to do over 30K a year. Those of you who will be able to, the quant devs, still would have taken you a lot longer than 12 months. So let me give you some lessons from my actual journey that I went through so you guys don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. Start narrower, right? I tried to serve everybody when I first started off. I wasted months, half a year specifically. So pick one specific niche, but I don't want you thinking of like a niche as in the niche that you know of, like an industry. I want you to pick a problem, own a problem, and go deep and dominate that problem, and then expand as time goes on. Price higher sooner. I undercharged for 8 months when I started off and I lost millions in revenue. Clients who pay more also value you more. So raise prices every 2 clients. Remember, lower ticket, worse your clients are going to be. Higher ticket, the better your clients are going to be. Build in public. I built in secret. One of the things I regret, I didn't have social media. Prior to that, I thought that it was a bad thing, but of course it really comes down to how you use it, right? Not everything is so black and white. I would share your journey now if I went back. So share your journey, document it. Don't consume too much content, but definitely create it. And down the line, it's going to become free marketing for you. Hire earlier. I waited way too long to delegate initially, and I burnt out a lot for that. So hire for $20 per hour whenever you're making $50, for example. The math is going to be simple on that. And say no. Have a very concrete no. Don't be money hungry. Don't be greedy. Don't try to serve everybody. Don't try to be a nice person. I took every project. I had bad clients, scope creep, a lot of nightmare projects that cause me way too much stress, right? And I found out that one bad client pretty much means 3 good ones lost. It is not worth having a bad client. So learn to say no. Focus on retention. Initially, I chased new clients instead of keeping old ones because I didn't fundamentally understand the point of a business is to get the client and keep that client for as long as possible, right? Once I understood that retention is more important than acquisition, my monthly retainers changed everything. And now that's why I'm able to make so much more money on a consistent basis. So the biggest lesson for you guys, speed beats perfection any day of the week, okay? So launch before you're ready and fix it live. Now, the biggest thing here is going to be the mindset as well. Going from an employee to a business owner. An employee thinks they need permission. An employee thinks somebody will tell them what to do, that they must get paid for showing up, that mistakes will get them fired, and that they need to wait for instructions. But an owner creates their own opportunities, decides what needs to be done, gets paid for results, understands mistakes are lessons, they can never ever truly fail until they give up, and they take action and then they figure it out. You're not a developer looking for work, you're a business owner who solves problems with code, okay? Understand that. Fundamentally, we all started off just like that, but we forgot our identity. We got into software engineering, maybe some of us to make more money, some of us because we loved coding. Nevertheless, we as software engineers are creators who create solutions to problems. It's just that our solutions are based on software. Don't forget that. That's what you are first and foremost before you're a coder. You are a problem solver. So the choice is completely yours. You can start today or you can wait for later. But if you want to start today and your future self will thank you for that, you can go ahead and book a call with me directly in the description below, one-on-one, and we'll be able to discuss everything that pretty much you can do as of this moment. The call will be with me and not a salesperson. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.